Good evening to this round table. I say round table, and usually you have a picture of it in your mind of a round table with people sitting around the table. But this is a very, very large round table because we have people in Australia, we have people in the UK, and we have somebody in Italy. So it's a very big round table, but I'm sure you understand the concept. Today, I'm just to introduce myself. My name is Sug Sahadeven. I'm the CEO and founder of Testhouse Limited. We are a QA and QC consultancy company, which is quality assurance and quality control. Quality assurance being the process of taking an idea from inception to delivery from a software perspective. And that's one of the things that we do, quality assurance, and we focus heavily on D365, which is one of our core strengths. And I'll talk a little bit about D365, but we follow the waterfall, agile, and also the DevOps, kind of implementing DevOps for customers. That's roughly a quick 1-minute introduction of my organization. So starting with Gill. Gill's an experienced trainer in D365 and understands the implementations quite well across large organizations, and is going to talk about the sort of gaps there might be from her perspective. And Peter Thompson is from Testhouse, is a quality assurance specialist, and we'll talk about the quality governance perspective and also how best to implement quality into this D365. Steve Williams is a program director level person who's done implementation of very large programs of D365, including probably the largest implementation of D365 in the UK. And he's been there and in the market for a long time, so he's very experienced in implementing CRM as well as D365 itself. Stefano is based out of Italy, and he is an MVP in D365, and especially around the FinOps side, and he will give you his insight as well. So what I would propose to do is to ask each one of them to talk about their individual experiences in implementing D365 or projects with D365, and then show any radar of any lighting into the potential problems that you could face and how you could potentially avoid them. I'll hand it over to Gill, and then we'll go over to Peter, Steve, and then Stefano in that way. Gill, over to you to start with about D365.
Thank you, Sug. I've been playing in the Dynamics Microsoft CRM space since 2002, since version 1.0 beta, or at least that's where I first IT. I'm an MCT. I've been an MCT since 2006, and I have worked on dozens and dozens of projects. And during that time, I have seen a lot of problems that come about through inadequate or even completely absent training and education. Absent training and education, or inadequate training and education, can certainly lead to what you feel subsequently is a Trojan horse, because you have something that maybe at sign off looked good and you just see problem after problem after problem. They tend to occur for a range of different reasons, and in the small time I've got here, I'm going to run through what those key reasons are. The first and probably the most obvious is a lack of end user training that causes users to just not know what they're doing and be confused by the whole application. The second is where we have the technical people on the project who have done a bit. Typically they've learned how to add fields, but there are lots and lots of different techniques that we can use to solve any particular business problem within Dynamics 365. And unless within the group as a whole, you have got people that know lots of these techniques, there is no guarantee that the solution that you choose for a particular problem will be the correct one. And often, if you choose something that just superficially looks good, but under the hood is weak, that is where the problems will come out later. I'm helping a particular client at the moment who had everything that looked good for data entry. Post sign off and everything else, they started trying to build marketing lists. Now, as I'm sure the other people on this panel will confirm, building marketing lists should be very straightforward in Dynamics, but it's not if your underlying architecture is poor. The third area that causes problems when we have this lack of training is where we have business people who argue that it's not their role to know what is in the technology before they start. And that is where they start asking for all kinds of things. And if that's then made worse by a technologist who is saying, yes, Mr. Customer, no, Mr. Customer, 3 bags full, Mr. Customer, we've got massive problems. And all of these contribute to that Trojan horse, things going wrong, things just coming out of the woodwork time and time again. So we certainly need to cover off education for everybody in the team. End user is pretty obvious. We must train our users to use the solution that we've provided to them. That means to use your processes and your data and your configuration. So obviously it is impossible to have off-the-shelf end user training. We also should be training all of the technical members of the team to make sure that they all have that breadth of education and they're not going to design something that looks great and then immediately breaks when you try to do something like marketing lists. And thirdly, we should be training our business people in what Dynamics will do out of the box so that they are then able to do what I call move to the middle. So we've got our business processes, we've got our technology, we move the two in together to get a solution that works. When we try to take the technology all the way over here, we often have problems. And if we try to take the users all the way over to here, we have problems. But when they both come into the middle, we can deliver a successful solution. I firmly believe, for those reasons, that education is the cornerstone of implementation success. Back to you, Sug.
Thank you very much. That's very insightful, and I think that it's very useful as well. Some of these things that people forget, and I'm glad you mentioned about the training for the users as well as the technical staff as well, because people, we have lots of customers who've gone into using D365 without training, and the people users then sort of find themselves blaming the product and saying the product is not good because they're used to something a little bit different. So thank you very much, Jill. I'll move over to D365 as a product. I think around the table we all agree is a very good and very well thought out product if used correctly. And it's all about that. It's the tool is right. It's very good, and it is gaining market share. And it's competitively priced. So if you go there with the mindset that this is my business and this is the only way I want to do my business, I want to change everything that D365 has to what I want to do this way, then you're going to have a little bit of trouble. But if you say, these are my business processes, this is how D365 does them, can I change my process so that I can do it within D365 and minimize the level of changes, then you'll be far better off. I think that's one of the things that Stefano is saying, and also the DevOps side. It's very key. The DevOps and the CI/CD pipeline. It's very crucial for releasing quicker changes to your production system. So you've got changes coming from Microsoft, you've got changes coming from your system, you've got changes coming from other integrated products. So if you've got a CI/CD pipeline, then it will be automatically built, integrated, developed, and test, and put into production. So that sort of things that you can do will be very, very, very useful. I've I hope that these insights are meant to be in a way that it is giving you some guidelines, and I think that what tends to happen is things like DevOps is an industry best practice. It was developed over so many years. Ideas came in, and then it developed and into become industry best practice. So I think that these sort of ideas that we're putting forward hopefully become industry best practice in the future, because it's for the whole industry to improve rather than the people, a few of the people. So I've got a few questions that I have picked up over the few comments that the guys have made, and I'm going to go back to Gill Walker. Gill, I mean, when you go into an organization and I'm not saying that they will give you a rein and say, look, tell me what training I need. They might do. But if they did, the magic wand, the customer says, look, this is my current situation. We're putting on D365. These are the modules, and this is the people that I have. If they've given you, how would you go about evaluating how much training, from an overall perspective?
It is very much how long is a piece of string, because there are some organizations, and I have one of these within my current client base, who implement a very, very simple, a basic contact management process. And obviously the amount of training that an organization like that needs is going to be far, far less than where you're implementing multiple modules, lots and lots of users, and so on and so forth. What I would recommend, though, is regardless of how much training is the right amount of training for an organization, don't try doing it in one big lump. Space it throughout the project and do some of your training, giving people an opportunity to have their questions answered and to engage with a mentor who can show them how their particular challenges are met within the application that has been delivered. So we need lots and lots of different styles of training as we move through the project, and even once we've gone live, to keep people on top of the deliverable. But the key is not all at once, and then have reinforcement. And I think that will closely get you to enable you to eat that elephant one bite at a time.
Okay. Staying with you, Gill, just following on from that, what do you see sort of like the biggest skills gap is in D3? Do you see a skills gap in D365 market, in terms of, do you have any idea, not specific numbers, but do you think that, there is a shortage of D365 skills in the marketplace? And do you think that, is it more on the user side or more on the technical side where the training will benefit?
I think there is a shortage across the board of skills. But I think where we need to be investing our effort is more on the technical side, because an untrained or a poorly trained technical expert is very, very dangerous. And one of the things that immediately comes to mind is none of us, well, we all don't know what we don't know. And so if you've got someone who maybe they're a power business user and they've got some experience, it won't take much to have more knowledge than that person. And therefore the techie person that we're now talking about could come across as an expert, where in reality they're not. Whereas we've then got other people who maybe got very deep knowledge in one very narrow area, but we would benefit by broadening their skill set and enabling them to take a bigger, a wider angle view of what we're delivering to those users. So if I had to vote for one, which I'd hate to do in real life, but if I was made to vote for one, my vote would be upping the technical education.
Right. Over to Steve. Well, thank you very much. I think that covers my sets of questions, and I would just like to conclude by saying thank you to Stefano from Italy for joining us, giving up your time, and Gill for giving up your time, and to Steve and to Peter for giving up your time for this. What I believe is more educational than anything else for people to use. As I said, it's not meant to be a negative. D365 is a great product. Lots of projects going on very successfully, but you may find the odd ones that you're in. When I'm in the audience, I'm talking about the audience. One of the audiences may be in a project where it's either failing or having difficulties, or you're going on to a project. Hopefully these insights will help you for the future. If there is any more information, as I said, Testhouse is a purely QA consultancy based on testing, and we don't do implementations and guidelines around quality assurance. If you want to get in touch, please do so. But otherwise, thank you all very much.